Hey, Gary Hoover here, and this is a very rough draft of a tutorial about how to design the buildings in CityCraft, which is really the key element. It leads to animations and all kinds of fly-throughs, cool stuff you can do with them. But it starts with building buildings, and here's the landing page, the opening screen. You can set the folder where all your work's going to go. You can set a separate folder for where pictures are because you can use your own pictures, bring anything into the system. Um, and you build cities on a block, and then you combine blocks to make a bigger city. So we go to the blocks first. I'm going to create a new block, and I'll just call it block 1. And here is where we lay out the ground floor design of the buildings, how they look on the ground. So you've got a grid. You can set it, make it finer or wider, whatever you want. Turn it on, turn it off. And let's see. So you have these choices here. You can free draw. You can snap to that grid. You can do a new building, and once you've done a building, you can modify it. And the first thing is point-to-point lines, and there you just click, 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 double click, and you've got a building. So we just call it V1 to be fast here. Okay. So you can freehand like that. You can draw point-to-point curves. This is using a thing called spline curves. So the first point you draw, and then the second point is not a point in the structure. It defines that curve. It's like, where does it bend towards? You know, it's always bending towards that point. Your second point is where the curve goes. So we're going to come out this way, 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 double click. And I'm just going to curve building, make it simple. And you got a curve there. Let's see. So you can do all kinds of curves like that. You can do a straight rectangle. V2, I guess. You can draw circles. See? You can draw ellipses. E. Real advanced naming here. You can draw stars. The stars are cool because you can set the, let me not finish that. You can set how many points and this concavity. So a regular 5-pointed with this 45-degree in there looks like that. So I'm going to call it S1. If I make it a much higher number, say 70, and draw a star, you can see it looks different. It's at 7-degree angles in that thing. Call that S2. Let's see. The other cool thing, I call them gons, but it's polygon would be really the right word. And how many sides does it have? So, you know, a hexagon is a 6-sided guy. So there we got, just call him hex. But you could make, you know, 8-sided, 3-sided, 2-sided. Well, 2-sided wouldn't work. That's called a line. Anyhow, so those are your basic shape options. Most of the time, you're probably going to be drawing regular lines, laying it out the way you want. And for what it's worth, this area is 1,000 feet by 1,000 feet, million square feet. Each of these quadrants here, each fourth, is about the same amount of land, of acres, as a New York City block or a Chicago City block. So those are some basic buildings. The profiles are a more advanced way, and all the buildings you build are all listed down here. You know, if you click on one, it's going to light it up. You know, if you right click on one, it should light it up down here. So you can always pick them. Let me show you a little about modifying the buildings before I go to the profiles. That's more advanced. So with when you've got modified buildings on, you pick one of these buildings, either right click on it or click down here, works same way. If you left click, regular click, and drag it, you can rotate it. Okay, drag any corner. If you shift and drag a corner, you can resize it. You know, so like this one is a little too big for me. You know, let's bring her down a bit. Let's see. You can extend the sides by dragging on the edges. So you got all these things that you can do with the building. And left click and just drag it. You can move it. Okay. Right click on it and then control right click somewhere else. And it makes a copy of it. It's called Building X. Okay. And let's see if this still works. I've made so many changes to these programs. Control and drag. And you make copies. Okay. Of whatever one you've selected. So, you know, all kinds of stuff you can do. And you're always, once you build a block with all these buildings on it, you're going to want to save that block. That's very important. You can make copies of the block. Your basic things you're going to need all the time are up here in the top row. The next place you're going to go to is always lower right corner. Other places in the program you can go to are over here. And then you always have redo and undo. So that's probably too many stars, you know, 2 is enough. So now the design a vertical profile. Let me go ahead and go through this. What it is you're standing on the street and you're looking straight at the building. It's what an architect would call an elevation. And again, you have all these choices. First, we start up here with the draw lines or draw curves. It's set up a little differently here. I'm not going to snap to the grid. And what I can do here is I basically want to draw a line that runs from A to B. Can't hit A twice, can't hit B twice, it can't hit the 0, the corner down there. So anyway, and actually this time I am going to snap to grid. So I start here, come here, come here, come here, come here. I can change over to a curve, go back to straight, and I'm snapping to the grid. I could make an indentation if I wanted, like an overhang. And then let's just come down to the ground. Once I hit the ground, she's all done, okay? And this is a profile. And next what I do, so this is the shape of the building, is I rotate the building around the A-axis. So if I make it circular, it's going to be a round building, but all the edges are going to be shaped like this. If I make it rectangular, it's going to be like a 4-part building, and each side it's going to look like this. You can rotate it all the way around. You can make a half building or a quarter building. And the idea there, when I put that in, was that what if you want one side of a building to be curved and the other side to be like straight? Well, you can do that. You can build one that's got curves and make that a half. You can build the other half with straight, and then you can move them around and combine them. But that's pretty advanced. And when you do the rectangular one, again, you can make it multi-sided. So let's say this one, we're going to make it rectangular, but also an octagon, 8-sided, okay? Now, it says down here, apply profile. And let me see here. Yeah. And I'm going to give it a name. So I'm just going to call it profile 1 because it's a profile building. And then where do I put it? There. Okay. So all we know is we have this hexagon. That's too big compared to the other buildings here. We'll select it. We'll shift drag. Bring it down to a more normal size, put it over here. Let's take this one, move them out of the way, okay? Then the other thing, which is similar but not the same, is a horizontal profile. And here, and there's always all these instructions over here and details. AI that helped me build this kind of goes overboard with all that, but I think it gets it right. Here, you basically draw what it looks like kind of like this way. And so let's see, you can always scroll like that. It says snap to grid. I'll leave snap to grid on. We'll make it lines. Um, so I'm going to say start in the corner, come up at an angle, go straight up, come up at an angle, go straight up, come at a steeper angle, go straight up. And what this does, in fact, what I'm going to do, try to make it symmetrical. I'm just trying, you don't have to. Try to come back down about the same way I went up. What this does is once I hit that, so that's what the building looks like face on. So it's not going to rotate like the other, like the vertical profile. This is, we call it a horizontal profile. And what this does is the computer, it looks at the center of it. It takes this point and this point, it goes halfway in between, which if I did it right, will be right here. And it uses that to rotate it around. And then it can make it rectangular or circular, and you can make an octagon. Let's make this one circular, okay? Now, apply profile. We'll call that profile building 2. So you have all these tools to design these things. And then we'll just put it somewhere. And again, it's a little big. Right click to make sure I select it. Shift, bring it in. Let's see, well, this thing's huge. Let's bring her down in size a bit. Let's bring her over here. Okay, so this is looking straight down at the ground. If you're walking on the street, you'd have to walk all the way around this curved building, you know. This will have a long side here. There'll be a narrow alley in here between those two. The very narrow alley between these two, all that jazz. So that's basically the way you shape the building. And the ones I did with the straight figures, you know, the stars and everything, those are going to have straight up walls. Unless it's a curved building. If it's a circle building, I did one circle here and I did the ellipse here. Those are going to have these segmented curved walls. On the other hand, but they're all going to be like straight up from the ground to the roof. Whereas these profile buildings I built are going to have those shapes that we created. Now, next thing I do, after you do, this is called the block plan page. So that's where you lay out, you plan your block. Next thing I go to is building heights. And what this is any building that doesn't have a height is marked in red. And what I got to do is say, how high do I want it to be? When I click on one, it says, okay, where do you want the bottom of it to be? Well, 0 is the ground. So you pretty much always want the ground on these buildings, you set it to 0. So you just leave it where it is, say, okay. Now, the reason it asks you instead of doing it automatically is because you can do all that stuff we just did and raise it up and put it on the top of the building. So you can build real complex towers or minarets or, you know, whatever you want, all kinds of stuff. And on those, you'd say, oh, no, this building's 100 feet tall. Then the bottom of this new thing I'm putting on there ought to start at 100 feet and go up from there. But in any case, so click 0 for the start. And then the next number is how high is it, you know? And, you know, the average story, I think, is 10 to 15 feet tall. So a 10-story building would be like 150 feet. So, you know, do that. And everything you build's got to have a height. So I'm just going to do a bunch of different heights on these guys, vary them a little bit, maybe make some real tall ones, you know, just because you can always come back and change these things. Maybe a little shorter one. Let's make this star real tall, taller than the others, 250. Yep. Oh, an even taller star, 350. You can make them anything you want. They could be 5 feet tall. They could be 5,000 feet tall, I guess. I haven't stressed the program with something like that. 200. This profile, and the profile ones, they're so cool. I'm gonna make it 250. I'll make the hex 150. And see, now all the red lines are gone. The profile buildings, this one's 250, this one's 100. I want to change that. Keep the 0. Let's take it all up to 300 feet so we can really see what the profile did. Okay, so now these buildings have heights and they have a shape. And the key is we go to the block 3D view, which is where we really design them. And what you got here is all those buildings. See, there's that crazy profile one I did, 8-sided, right? And it has this overhang because I had that thing came out and then went back down towards the ground. The other profile building, looks like a rocket ship. So yeah, you can let your imagination go wild. Yeah, see, I went in, up, in, up, in, up. I could have made it like a cone at the top, put a point on there. That would have been even cooler. But anyway, and tall star, medium star, fatter star, all these buildings. And here we have this enormous amount of ways to play with all this, because what we're going to do is decorate and paint these buildings. Now, when you do it, you can do you click on these faces, right? That's a face of a building. That's a face of a building. And all the way around is called a level. You're going to wrap the building. With these ones, the ones that have curves have a lot more little faces. And so usually you don't want to like paint each face separately. You could make these all different stripes, but it's a lot easier to like wrap the building when you paint it. And so anything with curves is going to have that kind of segmentation. Anything that's like flat-sided, that's all one face. So, so, and you can shoot video, tour, walkthrough, all that jazz. I'm not going to talk about that. You can do animations. Not going to talk about that. Normally, what I do is I build the blocks and I put them into a bigger city, and then I do all those animations. But you can do it here if you want. One thing I do is you can put in a ground surface. So you can say, okay, this whole ground, the whole thing, paint a green. Okay, and there's always undo and redo. It's got a bunch of choices here too. Another way to do it. Already built in, dirt and trees and all that. Some of them are better than others. I often just apply surface to ground, use grass, because that gives you, and you can see they have shadows and all our 3D stuff. You can set the season, you can set the time of day, you can make it night, you can make it afternoon, and you can see how the shadows work. But I really use that when I make the animations, but you can always play, and you can always turn that off. And then depending on what kind of face stuff you put on them, like windows can light up at night. Some of the windows can, and then you turn on the night thing. It wouldn't affect us now. I'm going to take off the shading for the work we're doing now. So I got these buildings, and none of them have any decoration. So let's just try the different decoration panels. We did the ground surface, and all these here are collapsible or expand, except this top one, because you're always using that. And then there's a bunch of variables there. Solid color face. So, I don't know. Let's just doesn't matter. It's a boring little building here. Wrap this level, apply color. Okay? Wrapped it all the way around with that color. If I undid that and said single face, then it's just going to put on one face. And I can make the next. So if I click on the color swatch, here I can control the hue this way, and then darkness and lightness going across, go all over here. It's black, white, in this corner be black. You can move this little guy around. And one of the things, if you want to have them all the same kind of tone, so we're starting out, that guy is orange, and it's pretty much a primary color. If you're up in the right-hand corner, you're going to get that pure primary color. So if I say, okay, I want to make the next side red, come over here and make sure I'm still in single face and apply the color. And then take some, okay, the other thing too is And moving this around, your mouse wheel zooms in and out. The right button just moves the image over, up and down, back, left and right, up and down. And the left click, regular click, orbits it. So for me to get in, see, I built them a little close together. So this takes, it's a little tricky, but I'll pick that. See, I got the face. It shows a little yellowish outline on it. I want to make another primary color. So this time I'll go with like a green and apply it. And then I got, let's see, what have I got? I got every face but that one. I can still click on it here. And let's make it another primary color, which blue would be one we haven't done yet. Okay, so now I got 4 colors, 4 sides. I can do the same thing with the roof. How about we just make it, and the one thing is by leaving that dot there and changing the hues, I had all primary colors. If on the other hand, I wanted, to use like maroons and deep, navy blues and stuff, move that, but let's paint this guy with those. And single face, so here, and then it's red is, if I go here, and I move to red, as long as I leave that dot where it is, it's going to be like a maroon, not a primary. And, like an orange, when it's darker, is really a brown. And let's do a green that's also deeper, darker, more like a British racing green or whatever. Well, I should have made it darker to do that. And then, put a pastel light green, almost white roof. Okay, so that's plain colors, and you could put them on any surface. You could wrap the round ones with a solid color. Let's take this little guy, and here I don't want to have to paint each one of those, so I'm going to wrap it. And let's go back to a. It's going to give more. Yeah, there's more like a British racing green on Lotus cars and things. A little closer, but you see it wrapped it all the way around. And as long as it's selected, you're going to see the little selection marks on the face that you picked. But click away from that, and those go away. So you can always just paint stuff. Then the next thing, and this is really cool, is gradients. So let's take the roof of this building here, and it's already got this gradient loaded. So it's a 3-color gradient. It goes from red to orange to yellow. And you can make them vertical, horizontal, diagonal, radial, or conic sweep gradient. So let's say radial from the center. We pick this and we apply it. And you see it's got the yellow, red, and it's and you could make a rainbow. Now, one thing is you can save gradients. So I've already saved it, red, orange, yellow. That was one that was preloaded. If I say pick this one, because I can make them up and you can save them, and then I have to say load, so it has and you can see here it's a whole different thing, and it's 6 colors, radial, and now make sure I still got this one selected. Apply the gradient, and I get that crazy thing. Okay, and they're very different. If I did a vertical one, it would be lines. A horizontal, it would be lines going the other way. The conic is pretty cool. All kinds of stuff. And the thing is, most programs use gradients. You can pick 3 or 4 colors or something. We've set this up. You can do up to 10 colors. That's going to take you a little bit of time and picking the colors because see, change the colors. You go into the color swatch, moves in different places here. It left it on that forest green that we had before, but I can move it around and change it so I can, pick all these colors. And I could have up to 10 of them. So you can really make a rainbow, like a double rainbow. Or you can do, very subtle shades. Let's see. Let's just do, I'll make one for you here. Let's just do like 3 shades of green, okay? So, and then let's go to like a lighter green, and then a very light green, okay? And now let's save the gradient. I'm gonna call it green shades. I can spell. I got that gradient. Let's click on this one. Let's make it, well, the conic sweeps. Okay, let's try it. Okay, so it goes like that. I think for that one, maybe the radial will look better. See, so it goes from a darker green to a lighter green gradually, and you could have spread over 10 to go from the darkest green to the lightest green, and then it would be really smooth, cool effect. Anyhow, so that's gradients, and that's one of the things you can do with them. And I've got to make some notes here for things I want to improve in the program or that I've done in other parts. Okay, got that one down. All right. And you can save and load the gradients. Then I'll just do them in order. This is the coolest one. So let's pick, here's a nice face, these guys. And I'm going to go with single face, load image. And so I've set up a folder with all kinds of images, a lot of my bookstop stuff and everything. You can find all kinds of surfaces online for 3D drawings and stuff. A lot of them are free. Other things like Free Pick, or I think they call it Magnific now. You can download different stuff. Any photograph, any picture you've taken. I got plaids. Plaids are kind of odd. Let's do a wrap. And there, I've got plaid all the way around. Okay. Let's do one photographic. Now it's gonna adjust them so they fit. Oh, this is I use as a background for a rocket ship taking off, and I've still got wrap. So then it's that's kind of cool. Anyway, and man, and if you wanted, okay, instead you could say I want 3 across and 3 down on each face. So then there's actually 3 copies of that and 3 up and down. And man, if you want to just make a massive, make it into like a little, almost a tiny tile to apply to it, you would have to really zoom in to realize, oh, that's that same image, but it is. Okay. And as strange as that is, almost looks like a pretty cool building with red stripes on it. I'll leave it like that. Oh, you can do window stuff and make it glow in the night lights. I don't need to go into that right now. So anyway, any image you got, you can put on here, and it'll try to twist it around these curves and everything. That gets pretty tricky for the computer to do, but I think I got it working pretty well. One that's used all the time is an architectural face. And here I got a drop down list of all these choices. Apartment windows, the stone and the brick, they don't work really well. These glass things work fine, like a glass curtain wall, like an office building. So let's take this guy, the big star. Zoom out so we can see the whole thing. Let's wrap it, and okay, and that's like an office building. Let's wrap this. I like the one called regular windows. That's pretty good. Although let's see how it works on this curve building. Yeah, worked. Okay, went all the way around. And again, I could make each face different. Not on the curve building. Again, you'd have to do lots of individual faces, whereas these straight guys, easier. So I mean, that's an important one. And for the stone and stuff, you can put in mortar and make bands and bunch of stuff. I actually haven't used that very much. Running bond offset. So, all I would say is play around with that and see what works, because you can always undo it. You can always undo it. Tiled face. Um, you can draw your own tile here. You get in here and you draw stuff, and you can shape it and use all the same tools, but it's so tiny. Um, but you never know. You never know. Let's see if undo works. Gosh, let me just keep drawing. And I can, let's see, fill the shape. Red. I probably have to do the fill the shape before I draw the line. Well, color freehand pen. Well, you got all these choices here too. Oh, draw a fill tile there. How about that? Okay, fill the whole tile. Not one I use very much. You can play with it. Street level architecture, now this gets a little tricky. What it does is you can pick any kind of store, furniture store, whatever, and put just one central image, or put several of them. You can name it yourself. And what it does, it's easiest to do on a flat face. Let's come over here. It'll work on the curves too, but and let's say I want to add a bookstore. That's in here somewhere. And just one centered image. And what it does, oh, I had it set for wrap. So it's going to put bookstores all the way around the base of the building. But if you look at it, it'll say on there, books, okay? And then let's undo that. Let's do single face, and let's do name your own store. I pick this face. That asks me for the name. I'm going to call it Gary's Emporium. So you got to give it some creative names once in a while. And there you can see I've got Gary's Emporium. And it's pretty plain little stores, but that's ground level stuff. So all it does is affects the ground level. You can change the height, and make some more notes here. The thing I gotta fix, height of storefronts. And then, okay, so that's one of your things. Let's close that one up. Next, rooftops. I've just added this back in, but let's say, well, let's go to one of the decorated buildings. And I'll go to this one. And I want a pyramid style roof. I want it to be, and these number boxes you can always type in. I want it to be 50 feet tall, or you could use the little buttons to go up and down. And I put a 50-foot tall pyramidal shape on that building. And these tops will always follow. So here's a star-shaped building. And I've just added this feature, so I haven't really tried all of them. But I got some domes here, cones. I don't even know what a butterfly roof looks like. Haven't tested the mandrel. Again, play around with them. So I put a dome on there that's 50 feet tall on top of this. And let's see if it works. And you can see it's built this dome that follows that star shape. Now, these complex domes, they're kind of a different kind of geometry than the other stuff. And so you see all kinds of it. It looks like lots of faces, when in fact, I'm pretty sure when I tested it briefly when I first put it in, is it'll treat it all as one face. Or it's always safe to say wrap this level in case it's multiple faces around. And for this, well, let's go back to a cool gradient. Let's load one of the saved ones. I had a rainbow in here. Oh, I didn't load it. Rainbow load. apply. Okay. And all those little lines, again, that's all part of figuring the math, the geometry. If I click out here, those go away. And I've got this cool dome. And from above, it's going to be the full radius. Well, it's a vertical. Let's do radial. Click a, okay, it says click a building or roof. It had lost that, focus on that. And now I got it ready to go. And I got a radial. Yeah, yeah. So, and click outside so those little lines go away. So you see I got this very unusual star-shaped and rounded dome. So, you know, you can combine stuff that wouldn't actually go with each other. Some architect was doing a star-shaped building. They probably wouldn't put a curved dome on the roof, but you never know. And, you know, any of these things, here's this cone-shaped thing. Let's just make it solid. Let's go with, a nice purple, and put it on a wrap because I want it to go all the way around. And, you know, and then I got this purple cone on there. Boom, boom. So rooftops, got it. And then the other thing, top signs. I also added this. So what it is so you can put a name of the building up near the top, you know, like Trump Tower or whatever. So I'll pick this face. I'll do it as wrap. You can type in anything you want. I already typed in a previous version, CityCraft. You can pick your fonts. When it first loads, it'll just load a limited group of fonts. If you then say use fonts from this computer, it'll check with you if it's okay, and then any font you have on your computer you can use. And in my case, I've already done that. I think, no, this is the short list from the thing. I want it to use the fonts from my computer, and all I have to do is say allow. And then all of a sudden, because I like cool fonts, it's got all these, and you can see what it would look like in that font, right? CityCraft, the word shows up here. You know, I have these crazy ones because just nostalgic fonts and stuff. I've got let's see. I have railroad fonts, which I really like. Where's a cool railroad font? One's called nickel plated. Look at all these guys. Oh, Lehigh Valley. That's an old. Well, here it's doubled over. Let's see if it I've typed it of everything. Add on the top. I already selected this panel. It says wrap, so it should put it on every face. Let's see if it works. Okay, so there, in that font, it put CityCraft up there. You know, and I think you can change the. Yeah, you can change the background color, you know. So I could have put the red on a like a dark background color. Yeah. And when you go to night view, and it's those will light up. Let's test it. The way I'm going to do that, turn on shading, go over here to nighttime. So it says right here 9 p.m. and now turn on the night lights. You see the sign lights up. So pretty cool. And some types of windows also light up. There's a way in here that you can designate, oh, this is the part of the window when you decorate a building that I want to light up at night. A lot of the architectural ones do, but not here. I'll use the one architectural face. So those are basically, and then if you want to use it in another 3D program like Blender or one of the ones that you pay for, some of the beautiful advanced ones, you can export it in all these different formats. GLB, they say, is one of the best ones. It remembers all the faces and the colors and all that jazz. I found this one, the second one, GLTF or whatever it is, that really works well to go into Blender, which is the free open source version of 3D software. But you can see how you can just do all kinds of stuff.